Good morning and welcome. We prepare to go with Jesus as he is driven out by the Spirit far into the desert. As we do so, this morning's Gospel, Mark 7 verses 31 to 37, gives us a treasure of the heart to carry with us. Jesus heals here in this story. The gift to us is the touch of it, the prayer that flows from Jesus as a result of this encounter. A Decapolis man cannot speak, nor can he hear. Jesus puts his fingers into the man's ears, and in a strange gesture the mind quickly shies away from, because it is so strange, and kind of forgets, touches a man's tongue with spittle. It's a very physical, intimate gesture of healing. And after that comes Jesus' deep sigh. It's a prayer cry, a wordless sigh that comes from the deep of his heart, a sigh of compassion perhaps at the suffering and isolation this man has endured for so long. He says to the physical self of the man, and therefore in a sense the whole self, be opened. Then the man's self, his body, is freed, and the inner body dances. It says the ligament of his tongue was loosened. We have answered Jesus' sigh, his prayer in ourselves. And this gift, this word from Mark 7, is ours, is given to us to carry on the journey to feed our hearts. Next Wednesday, with Ash Wednesday, it's Friday the 12th of February 2021, a chilly morning in February. We enter then the time of Lent. Yet it can feel for us that our lives always have a Lenten quality, as St. Benedict says in his Rule, chapter 49. That is, we're always turning our hearts to God, to Jesus, because that gives us a process of turning our hearts from stone into warm, human, truly loving, abundantly living hearts. That can sometimes mean that what little we cling on to comfort the stone, the stoniness, is taken away, as Matthew 13:12 says. Recently there was a story published by a guy who'd lived for a long time in a community, and he said that he went through in his early days there a long period where he felt really in despair, and that stripping, that process of the heart being stripped, left him with nothing to cling to but God. And for Lent, perhaps that's a good place to be, to have nothing but God. Perhaps that is the core human desire at Lent. Perhaps that's a real fasting, that for once in all the busyness and the exhaustion and the need to be needed and all these other things that crowd our heart and our souls, perhaps the real fast might be that we need nothing but God. Now, we'll be exploring during this forthcoming online retreat house Lent course on this channel to see if that feels actually true for us. Whether in some ways all Christian life is not really a process of building ourselves up, building the ego and the self-esteem up, perhaps. Do we really need that on one level? But of being stripped away and finding it's enough for the crucified Christ. We know as human beings that we can't live through our ego if we're to turn our hearts with love to the needs of another human being. We can't do it and love as we want to, love abundantly and therefore live abundantly. Does that mean, therefore, that we come to the core of our Christian journey and realise that all we need, all we can cling to is not ourselves and what we've got to say for ourselves, but just God, just the crucified Christ? Now, even as we go through such a journey, we can go through Lent carrying that Decapolis gift to that man, that gift of Jesus' utter knowledge, utter tenderness and intimacy. Sometimes we think we can't approach God because we think he doesn't know, or we can't talk to him about the thing that really troubles and weighs down our heart. But it's known already, and it's contained in that deep sigh that Jesus makes when he encounters the man. And maybe, that fast is going to be enough for us this Lent, to allow ourselves to be loved by the crucified Christ, the hungry Christ, the thirsty Christ. And I'm looking here at a jug of water that is frozen overnight, just as the human heart is unfrozen and discovers itself to be a source of rich, wonderful, living water. May your forthcoming Lent be blessed. And the next message will be about the Lent course and the details. Blessings, peace and healing. Amen.